Hey everyone, the mini set comes out in less than 24 hours, and I'm going to be reviewing all the new cards today, and it's going to be real quick. I'm going to be going through every card and doing the 3-type rating of pretty decent, broken, or garbage. It's not too complicated. We're not going to go into this. We're just going to go, is it, a decent card that could see some play, might be useful, might be nice? Is it a card that's going to be like the kind of card people are calling for nerfs, or is it just everywhere, or is it going to be a card that just is useless and never sees play? So first we got Construct Quarter. This is destroy a friendly minion to summon a 4/5 undead with rush. You can use this on your current minions. You can use this on your hero power. This card looks insane. I think Blood Death Knight runs this. I think Frost Death Knight runs this. I think Undead runs this. I think this was probably going to get run. And this is very in line with other locations. Locations are very strong. But yeah, I think this card's really good. I'm going to go with Broken. Next, we got this Rim Scale Siren for Death Knight. Battlecry, if you cast 3 spells while holding this, freeze 3 random enemy minions. The problem is, what kind of deck is going to run this? If I'm a deck that runs lots of spells, it's just awkward to get this effect for such a small payoff of freezing minions. Useless card, garbage. So yeah, to be honest, this could be 3/4, not understated, just, or 2 mana, it just, the payoff is just not there. Next we got the Frost Queen Sindragosa. Colossal, after an enemy minion is frozen, destroy it. It has the Sindragosa's Wing, which are rush minions that basically kill the minion. This card's very, very good, but the cost is you have to run red and blue. So I'm going to go with decent. I think if this were just like some card that you could run in any Death Knight deck, it'd be broken. But the fact that you have to run a dual class cards makes it just a lot worse. It just limits the deck buildings a little bit so it can run it. It doesn't give you access to a lot of those powerful stuff, but it does give you an incentive to run big incentive to run multiple things. So I like that this card exists. You can run it in the current Rainbow Death Knight. So I think real strong card, but that's the point. The point is that if you run this strong card, you can't run other strong cards. So I'm going to go with decent on this one. All right, I believe that's the last for the Death Knight cards. All right, next we got Calamity's Grip. We got Demonhunter, Death Rattle, add a random outcast to your card. Is a random outcast card worth this when I already have a hero power? It's a little bit more efficiency than your hero power, but unless I really need some sort of outcast synergy, I just don't even think I still don't run this, so I don't think this is good. What is nice is you can play it, and then if you're timing a play with outcast synergy, you can have an outcast card in your hand, but random just has so many potential bricks, so I'm going to go with garbage on this one. Next, we got the Shambling Cow. Death Rattle, deal 4 damage to your hero. So it's kind of like Flame Imp. Flame Imp's a good card. This has Rush. I'm going to go with decent. It might be broken, but I just feel like the 1 mana 2/3 doesn't go as far as it used to, but it does have Rush, which is nice. Deal 4 can matter, so you probably have to play an aggro deck or some sort of synergy deck where you actually want to take damage. But yeah, I think a good card that could definitely see some play. Next, we got, if you cast 3 spells while holding this, summon a different demon from your deck. This is a rare, so you could summon this one. So you have to play 3 spells, so you can play some big demons. So if we look at the past, we can see that big demons have always been bait. This card is bait. This card is garbage. Yeah, no enough said. All right, we're going off to Druid. So Druid, we got the card Rake. Give your hero +2 attack this turn. Deal damage equal to your hero's attack with a minion. The only reason I could see this card seeing play is if people try to play Quest Druid again. They're going to play it. They're going to realize it's still bad, but you're not going to run this in Ramp Druid. There's too many better cards. There's too many more important cards than, you know, a single target removal on turn 1. This card is garbage. Next, we got Death Beetle. Taunt, Mana Thirst, 11, gain, +4/+4 in charge. Everyone's talking about this because they're like, well, is this card... so they have the flavor text. Well, that'll be useless next expansion. Wink, wink. Because Guff is rotating. So the idea is you play this after you play Guff. And it's a 6 mana, 10/10 with charge. Or you could, do it with alignment or something like that, But what's interesting about... I don't think... we're losing Brand, so the Brand Astral combo is not going to be there. But, I think if you can get over mana, like there are some situations with this, but there just seems like there's so many better cards. So unless you really need like some sort of charge thing, because, powerful thing you could do with this, even though unfortunately you could do things like with Battlegrounds Battlemaster, but it just seems so much, there are just way easier ways to win with Druid. So I'm wanting to say garbage, but I'm going to go with pretty decent because things are rotating, win conditions are changing, Brand's going. There's a good chance that Druid needs a different kind of high mana win condition in the next expansion. And this card could be good enough, but I don't think this is any play in the current lists. People are going to try it and realize, wow, Brand Astral are just better and more reliable. So Life from Death. Draw 3 cards, infuse. This cost 1. This card is super interesting, and I think the idea is you run this card in a tempo-based deck. I think this card might be really good because you can run it with all in your aggro Druid, but now you can get a bunch of draw. But if you infuse it, it's really, really efficient. But if you don't infuse, so it gives you you also could run it with scale currently. Which might be good enough. You already kind of have nourishes. You already have enough draw in Druid that I feel like this goes into more of an aggro Druid list. I'm not sure where this card gets run. I'm not sure if it fits in currently, but I think this card opens up a lot of possibilities. It's definitely something you should be thinking about if you're a deck builder, because you can make it aggro Druid, different kinds of lists work a lot better. You already have composting. Or that gives you a redundancy. Like you make a board, you have this, and you have in your hand, they kill your board before you can composting. Well, now you have a 1 mana life or death. So that matters. So bottom line, I think this card's pretty decent. I'm really curious to see if people find a way to make it good. So, all right. Next, we've got Hunter. Let's keep going. All right. So this first Hunter card. Trinket Tracer, Battlecry, draw a 1-cost spell. This isn't anything spectacular. It's not bad. I don't think you really want to run this in just any Hunter deck for a 1-cost spell. Especially, we do have Barak right now, which kind of this card can have some anti-synergy if you're running Barak because you draw your 1-cost spells. But I think a deck that might want to tutor 1-cost spells, this card could be really good. I don't think this card's amazing. The efficiency on this card for the stats and nothing to take home for. But any deck, tutoring effects always have the potential to see play, so I'm going to go with pretty decent on this one. Zombies. After you play, opponent plays a minion, summon 4 1/1 zombies to attack it. Kind of the equivalent of snipe. I think what's good about this card, if it sees play, it's because of infuse. So if you have cards that you really want to infuse or beast synergy cards, there's like that 1 mana weapon that, if you get procs on, that card could be insane with this card. So this card has a lot of synergistic. The absolute power level on a secrets are usually bad, but if you can find a synergy with this, and there are a lot of synergies with this card could be good enough. So I'm going to go decent. I could see play, but the problem is the decks that want to play it haven't been good enough. but this card could definitely make those decks better. So I'm not going to say this deck card, even though secrets are usually just not efficient enough to see play, there are synergistic. So maybe with the right deck building, you can make this kind of deck work. And next we got Faithful Commander. This is like a big beast. Discover a beast from your deck. Summon it. Mana Thirst. Summon a copy of it. So the dream is, you play this for 7 mana at turn 10. You get 2 King Crushes. This sounds great until you realize Hunter wants to win before turn 10. And instead of playing this, I could just play Wing Commander and draw all my beasts with Rush. I think this card looks cool, but it's just going to be not efficient. I can't run a 7 mana beast card in my deck. So unless I have a way to randomly generate this in my already beast deck, I just don't think this ever see play. So I'm going to go with garbage on this one. Next, we got Mage. First, we've got this card, Battlecry. If you cast a spell this turn, discover an elemental. These cards are always bad. Like these elementals where you have to do something the previous turn. I know there's that version of this though with Mage, the 2/3 that if you discovered, played a spell last turn, discover a spell. But I think discovering an elemental, just elementals aren't that good. So I'm not convinced you want this. I'm gonna go with garbage. I don't think any card deck runs it. Next we got Terror Reality. Add 2 random Mage spells from the past to your hand. This costs 2 less. This is everyone's like, Ice Block is back. Ice Block is back. Kind of like you could play this card, get a 1 in 10 to get Ice Block. I don't know the odds, and then you play your Ice Block in your deck that doesn't have Ice Block synergy. Your opponent waits a turn and then they kill you. So Solid Alibi seems much better in the current game because it's reliable. While this card, I think people are thinking it looks good, it's not. It's just you don't want to be running cards like this unless you have some weird maybe mana discount synergy or something weird like that. But even then, so I'm going to go with garbage on this one. And I believe there's one more Mage card. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Spectral Trainee. After you cast a spell, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. This is hard to make work. But the effect overall, it seems like a worse Altruist, but Altruist was broken beyond belief. So, cards like this, if you have stuff like Freeze, you have lots of 0 mana spells. In fact, you can use it to clear boards. So if you have a deck that wants to run lots of 0 mana spells for whatever reason, being able to use those resources and turn them into a board clear can be nice. So I'm going to go with decent. I don't think it's that good, but it might see a play. Next, we've got Paladin. I think it's not the mini set, right? Yeah. First we've got Knight of the Dead. Battlecry, deal 5 damage to your hero. Mana first, restore 5 health to your hero. Set. This seems like it's a real natural slot in to pure Paladin list. Current pure Paladin list. Being able to play 3 mana 5/5 on 3 is real nice. You take the damage, but if you're being aggro, that's fine. And then you late game, if you're running low on life, you could play this without having that cost. So seems like a pretty decent card. I'm not quite convinced it's broken. Raw stats just aren't what they used to be, and it does have a downside in most situations, but still, I'm gonna go with pretty decent. Next, we got Goldwing. Battlecry Rush. If you're holding a mech, gain Wind Fury. Why am I running mechs? Why do I care about mechs? Oh, I have an amalgam. It's a mech. I gain Wind Fury. Like, am I going to run this over the 4 mana dragons? Just like the only reason you run this card is because you don't, for some reason you think that the 4/4 rush dragon that's currently available is worse, and you like this card, or you happen to run mechs. It's just not good. I'm going to go with garbage. I don't even think this makes the cut in the current Dragon Paladin list. So. And next we got the Curator. If your deck has no neutral cards, draw a minion of each type. So it's a thing of you want to run this in a lot of pure Paladin lists. What's awkward about it in the current game is most pure Paladin lists are running Order of the Court to draw their 9 mana guys, their 9 mana elementals, and top deck also their dragon. So this would draw both of those, which is quite good, but I'm not sure if it naturally synergizes in the current thing, but the overall power level of this card is good enough that I think it sees play. Any pure Paladin list, but I'm not convinced because of both the order and the court, the current game, which the kind of Paladin class is built around right now, and just the pure element. I think people underestimate how much playing pure can limit your win conditions. Like even with pure, I'm not sure how much value you want, but maybe you run this and you just get another hand refill value. The overall, I can't not say this card is in theory very strong, so I'm gonna go with decent. Even though I don't think it's broken, I don't think it's anything to be that astonished about. So, right. Next we've got Priest. We've got this Minds here. Deal 2 damage to minion. If it dies, deal 3 to enemy hero. This card's quite efficient and works very naturally in the burn style of Priest that's kind of getting there. If you saw my YouTube video, that deck felt good. This card feels like it'd be a natural slot into that deck. Probably better than some other cards in the list. So, very efficient card in a burn deck. I'm going to go with a pretty decent. I don't quite say broken, but with the right list and the right style, this definitely helps the aggressive Priest style. Next, we got Cannibalize. Destroy a minion, restore its health to all friendly characters. I mean, in theory, this card's very strong. In practice, am I ever going to run it? No, like I don't see. It is Shadow, so you can run it. The only big reason I can see you running it is you're playing a Shadow deck that wants some heal cards, and this could be nice because usually you can't run a lot of heal cards because of the Shadow effect. But that being said, this card heals all your mates. Like the efficiency is there, but Priest just has such better Shadow single target removal. But I think the Shadow matters. So I'm very close to saying garbage, but I'm gonna go with decent because maybe it opens up a door for some deck building things that you want to do. So maybe you want a lot of health or something like that. But I think it's very unlikely I'm running this in any deck I'm running. So it just doesn't quite make sense. Maybe if Priest had something, all of a sudden there's a card that says your max life starts at 60 even though you're start at 30, well then big heals like this can really matter. But if you healed from up to 35 with Renthal, you can't just over heal, so usually a lot of that effect of the heal is wasted, and it's harder on your minions to get the value there as well. So next we got Rotting Necromancer. Battlecry Dredge. If it's undead, deal 5 damage to the enemy hero. It's quite good. You can draw your undeads and your undead priest, deal 5 damage. Like this card's strong. I'm not quite ready to say broken, but I'm gonna go with decent. I'm wanting to run this in undead priest currently. So yeah, and it's 4 mana, so it doesn't get revived. So really naturally slots into the current list. So definitely a card that I think maybe those 2 cards put undead priest on the map. We'll see. All right, next we've got Rogue. We got Ransack, deal 1 damage to minion. If you played a card this turn, deal 4 instead. It kind of reminds me of Backstab. This is a card from another class, but I just don't think I'm running this. But this is nice. You could run this in Jackpot Rogue, but I don't feel it's quite worth it. It's Hydra. But that being said, the more I think about it, 0 mana cards always have the potential to see play. So I'm gonna go with decent because maybe you need that for combo synergy. So you can never truly count out a 0 mana card. They always have the potential to, because maybe you're running Auctioneer. There always are those synergies. So but I don't think it sees play in the current lists. All right, this card's Jolly Roger. After your hero attacks, summon a 1/1 undead pirate. I haven't seen anyone talking about this card. This card's insane. It's going to make wild toxic. You play this, you get your patches, you hero power, you spiral. This card's so efficient. Like there's a card like this that was a 2 mana 2/2, which is easier to kill. Came down, didn't have the natural 1 to hero. This is absurd power creep. Nobody's talking about this card. This card is absolutely busted. This might be the strongest card of the mini set. I'm amazed I haven't seen anyone talking about it on Twitter. Broken. expect to see this in a ton of rogue lists. So, and finally, we got this kind of weird card, Stitch Creation, combo, gain +2/+2, infuse, get +3/+3, mana thirst, gain +4/+4. I mean, this card looks cool until you realize all the conditions, and then it's terrible. So it's just a thing of like, it's not, Rogue wants to be doing these things early and just waiting forever so I can get a 12/12 when they have location, where they wait till turn 8 to get a pop off, they can get a 20/20. So running this card, you're just never going to want it. And the deck, this deck doesn't make the cut for Miracle Rogue, so I'm going to go with garbage on this one. All right, next we got Shaman, and we got a card that everyone's talking about. Choose a minion, discover one that costs one more, and transform into it. This is evolve, but to what you get to choose. So it's gonna, people are gonna run with null. They're gonna high roll into a absolute busted card, and you're gonna complain. This card is broken. Expect maybe Evolve Shaman isn't broken, but this card people will be complaining about whether or not Evolve Shaman is good enough, because it's going to create so many reliable toxic things. So broken card for sure. Next we got Cold Storage. Freeze a minion, add a copy of it to your hand. This has massive combo and deck building potential. You can use it on enemy minion just to freeze and get the value there. You can use it on your own minion. So there are a bunch of weird combos with like Macaw, where you can kind of just keep getting more and more spells. So I think John Bray posted when we used the 6 mana frog, and then you just keep macawing the macaw back and getting it back over and over again. So there's some cool things you can do for sure with this card. So I'm gonna go with broken. The potential is absolutely there for some crazy stuff. It's not a legendary, so you can run 2 of it. Just a lot of potential, but it's not necessarily an auto include. So it's definitely something though that I definitely could see breaking the game, which is exciting, but until it isn't, So and finally, we've got this card. If you played an elemental last turn, summon 3/1/1 Murlocs. This card's very efficient. The problem is, when am I running? This card is both a combo, but when am I running elementals and Murlocs? Amalgam is nice for this, but finding the right this. So I'm not convinced by this card, but the overall effect, when I'm running elementals and Murlocs, is very strong for a proactive deck. So I'm going to go with a decent on this one. Especially you have a good amount of wide board synergies with Shaman to get payoffs if you can stick this board. So definitely, I think a decent card that probably, the deck building element is really hard though. So it could definitely be garbage. But, with the right amount of cards, this card could definitely be good. So next, yeah, this card right here, for example. This is not the mini set, but look at that. You just play this, you play that, tons of damage. So Rockkill, another card that's really good with that card. So next we've got Warlock. Death Rattle, give all your demons and Murlocs. Death Rattle will summon a 2/2 Imp lock. I want to run this in Imp lock. It's like real easy. Play this, play that. It's Soul the Forest for Imps and Murlocs, but super cheap. So I think this card's good. I'm gonna go with decent. So next we got this Suspicious Peddler. Discover a 1-cost card. If your opponent guesses your choice, they get a copy. 2 mana cards are just have to be so broken for Warlock, because I can't go Hero Power. Why do I want a 1-cost card? I think part of the reason this card sees play in Wild are the 2/2 one. I don't give one for my opponent, and it's run often in Renal lists, or it's run sort of as filler, or it's run in even Warlock. So I don't think this card's good. I'm gonna go garbage. Plague Eruption, deal 2 damage to all minions. If you discard a card this game, deal 1 more. These kind of cards, deal 2 all for 3 mana, often sees play. Now there has been power creep, but if Warlock wants to deal 2 all, they run this card. So I don't think this card synergy is that important, but I think this card could see play, could not see play, but it's good enough that when a Warlock wants this card, they run it. So I'm gonna go with it. Pretty decent. Next we got Warrior. We got discover a taunt minion. If you play it this turn, repeat this. It's kind of a value generator because you can get 2 taunt minions. And I think you can do it a bunch of times, so there is some potential. So it's interesting, right? It's because you can potentially get a lot of value from one card. So I think this definitely might see play. It's a little awkward timing it. So it kind of reminds me of the 1 mana pre spell that you get a death rattle minion, and if you have enough mana, you trigger its death rattle. Very similar to that. But I think I'm not quite convinced. So I'm going to take the safe, boring answer of decent. But this definitely could be garbage as well. So next we got Hooked Fist 3000. After your hero attacks, gain 4 armor and draw a card. I don't think this card is good enough to put Warrior in the map, but this card in a bubble is broken. Very, very efficient. So annoying. I think this card's going to be toxic in Pirate Warrior in Wild. But is it good if to put Warrior in the map? Probably not. But the raw efficiency of the card is absurd. So I'm going to go with it broken. If you have some sort of 2 mana weapon, which Warrior doesn't really have right now, you can play this and play that on curve, and it's so annoying. So finally, we got Flesh Shaper Battlecry. If you have 5 or more armor, so I'm going to copy this. I feel like this sounds cool, but it's like if you're up against a deck that this is really useful, like aggro, it's annoying to have the 5 armor. And if you're up in like a value matchup, like it just these guys, like this card looks cool until you're up against a rogue, and then they just do a double deadly shot on your guy because you've been doing nothing and you haven't had minions to target. I think these kind of cards are just too vulnerable. I think I'm not convinced the efficiencies there. 6 mana cards just have to be busted, and I'm just not really convinced. So I'm gonna go with garbage on this one. And finally, we got the neutrals. This one is Mistake. This has all minion types. So card's busted. Now, is it that busted? Probably not, but it's like Amalgam. Like Amalgam was running a ridiculous amount of decks until it kind of got a little power creep to this expansion, but it's still ridiculously good. But it doesn't have the Discover, but it's a 1-drop. You just run it in a ton of things for that synergy. So really good card. But it's probably a card that's run in every deck, but isn't actually like that strong in lots of decks. But so let's go to the next ones. Next we got Lost Exarch. Spend all your Death Rattle spelling mana, summon that 2/2 rush zombies with rush. This sounds cool until you realize it's a Death Rattle, so I have to leave it on board with extra mana or trigger it myself. And if I trigger myself, it's not like I get to use that mana, so it's just this card's terrible. I don't even know. It's real weird, garbage, irrelevant. Next we got Rivendare Warrior. The rattle summon 3 other horsemen into your deck, and if they have all died, then you can win the game. So you play this and you try and get these cards out. Maybe you could cheat them out, or maybe you spend 24 mana over a long period of time. It is a win condition. It's super slow. It's going to be irrelevant, garbage. Not really. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to play your Rivendare deck and win with it, even though you just won with control because your opponent couldn't kill you. But not actually a good card. So, and finally we've got Thaddeus Monstrosity. 10 mana taunt. Your odd card costs 1. You don't want to play 10 mana for this, but you could cheat it out, and it's undead. There are ways to cheat it out. You can cheat it out on Warlock. This card could be good. I don't know how to make this card work. It requires a lot of synergies. Like, am I running other undead cards? It might have anti-synergy in that, the cheating out cards don't cheat out this. They cheat out another undead card. But the overall effect is strong when you can cheat it out. So maybe this sees play. Cool card, but how much you're going to build around this. It's probably garbage, but I'm going to go with decent. Maybe someone can figure out the right way to build this card. So that's the end of the Theory Craft. We had a few broken cards, but they weren't that broken. There's nothing that I see. I think Shaman probably had the strongest, most potential for a new meta breaking list. And Rogue got that pirate card. I thought that was really good, and I think the location for Undead is a big potential meta breaker for not Undead, for Death Knight. So that Death Knight location could matter a lot, and just upgrading the power. Death Knight's already doing really good right now, so could become even stronger for sure. So bottom line, I think Death Knight probably was the biggest winner of the location, and Shaman. So we'll see if those go up in stock, but I don't expect this mini set to be that impactful. Maybe one or two interesting new decks and a bunch of bait. So we'll be trying to find the not bait, separate the bait from the not bait on Tuesday. So see you guys there. It's going to be a good time.